Hello, welcome to this lesson video for finding compound interest. It's one of 4 videos in the sequence of interest that we have. So our learning target for all 4 have been to solve real world problems involving interest by hand or in cases with technology. So we're focusing on compound interest in this video. And so what is compound interest? It's interest that's calculated using both principal and interest that was accumulated in the past. The compounding period is the interval of time between the occasions when interest is added to the account. So what's nice about compound interest is we can calculate when interest is added more than once a year. So P is still our amount borrowed or the amount we invested. R is still our interest rate. T is still the length of our loan, the time, which is in years. I should specify that again, in years. N is the number of times a year we compound interest, and A is the amount calculated after N periods of interest have been added, okay? So this is our new formula for compound interest. We'll be using that a lot. So what's the difference between simple interest and compound interest? Well, the magic of compound interest is you can calculate it more than once a year, and kind of like this last slide said, it's calculated with both the principal and the interest that was accumulated in the past. So it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. As far as you in an investment, it's better because you'll earn more, but banks and mortgage loans, they use compounding. So when you're paying and borrowing money, that's kind of a downfall because you're paying more. But let's see. Example 5, how much money will you have at the end of 5 years if you invest $5,000 at an 8% annual interest compounded quarterly? So we need to remember our formula. And I kind of like to just label everything. P is my principal, which was how much I invested in this case, which was $5,000. R is my interest rate, but I need to convert it. 8% is 0.08 converted. N is how many times it's compounded, and right there's the key word, compounded quarterly. There are 4 quarters in a year. T should be my time in years, which is 5 years. And I'm solving for A, because I want to know how much will be there in the end. So I'm just going to plug and chug. 5,000, 1 plus my 0.08 divided by 4 over, n parenthesis, n times t. So 4 times 5. One thing that might be helpful when you're getting ready to type it in your calculator, just figure out what is 4 times 5. That's just simply 20. Okay, so here's how I do this in my calculator. I first start in the parentheses. I follow PEMDAS. So I do 1 plus my 0.08 divided by 4, and I hit enter. And in this case, I get 1.02 if you're following along. Now I keep that on my screen, and I just hit the caret key, so it's taking the answer raised to a power of 20, and I hit enter again. And now I've got 1.48, 6 rounded, but I'm just going to keep this on my screen. I'm going to keep rolling with my calculator till the very end. So I'm going to keep this on my calculator, and I'm going to hit times. So my calculator says the previous answer times 5,000, and I get an A value of $7,429, and we round 2 places since we're dealing with money, 74 cents. Okay, so that's how much will be in the account after 5 years. So what? I earned roughly $2,429.74 if you do the math quick in your head. Okay, next question says, calculate the amount of interest paid over a 5-year loan at $25,000 with an interest rate of 5% compounded semi-annually. Okay, this time we're not looking for the final amount. We're asked for the interest. However, I have to find the A value, okay, because here's why. The A final amount is the principal plus whatever interest they charged you. So to find interest, in other words, to isolate I have to take my A value and subtract the principal, and that will give me my interest, okay? So I gotta find A so then I can subtract the principal from it. So my principal is 20 grand, My interest rate converted is 0.05. Compounded semi-annually means twice a year. And T is a 5-year loan again. Okay, so let me plug this into my formula. P1 plus R divided by N, and then the exponent is N times T. So as I plug this in, A is going to equal 20 grand times 1 plus 0.05 divided by 2 raised to the 2 times 5. Again, for the sake of ease, when I calculate later, I'm just going to make that a 10, and then I'm going to plug in chug. So remember, do the parenthesis first. 1 plus 0.05 divided by 4. Oops, sorry, divided by 2. 4 was last time. Hit enter. Keep that on your screen. Hit your power button, and you're going to take the answer and raise it to the 10th power. Hit enter again. Keep that answer on your screen. Multiply it by 20,000. And what I got, A equals $25,601.69. But remember, this isn't the answer. They want the interest paid. So I have to subtract the principal, which was 20,000, and this is kind of like the surcharge I have to pay in order to borrow that 20 grand. That's going to end up being $5,601.69. Okay, so that's the interest, which is what the question is asking us for. Okie dokie, moving right along. Calculate the principal of a 15-year loan that resulted in payment of $122,000 that had a monthly interest rate of 3.2%. Okay, so this time I'm solving for P. I don't know the principal, but let me write the formula again so we can think about what letters we must know. If I'm solving for P, that means I must know A if I have to leave P blank, and I do. The result I ended up paying was $122,000. I'm solving for my principal, so we'll leave that with a question mark. My interest rate converted, move it 2 places, is going to be 0.032 for R. And since it says monthly, 12 months in a year, and my time is a span of 15 years. So let's plug and chug and see what happens. A, $122,000 should equal the principal P, parenthesis 1 plus 0.032 divided by 12, and a power of 12 times 15. Again, let me calculate that real quick. 12 times 15 is 180. That's going to help me out here in a second. Okay. I think we should just kind of roll with this as far as we can and just kind of see what's happening over on that right side. So I'm going to do like normal. 1 plus 0.032 divided by 12. I'm going to hit equal. Keep that number on my screen. Do my power button. Raise that previous answer to 180. Hit enter again. And I get a number. Now I think I'm going to have to round and bring my calculator number to paper, or to the screen rather. So what I get is P times what my calculator says. I'm going to go 3 places. 1.615. Okay. So now here's what you need to think. Let's see. 30, let's just do 30 equals 5 times x. If I were to solve this for x, x is being multiplied by 5, I would just simply, divide. X would equal 6, okay? So that's kind of like what we have over here. This number times a p. To get rid of it, I just want to divide 1.615. 1.615. Okay, and so p will equal, see, that number divided by 1.615. It's going to be 75,541 with, rounded, 80 cents. Okay, so that was my principal. That's how much I either originally invested or originally borrowed. I guess since it was a payment, I borrowed this. But that's my principal. All right, so these are just a variation of compound interest problems you might see. I believe that's it for me. Yeah, so that ends this video. Again, the next video in the sequence is interest, talking about mortgages and home loans. There are 2 previous ones. No, just 1 previous one, sorry. Simple interest. But check them out. But that's it for this one, so keep learning, have fun, and I'll see you next time.